Today, we talk to a publicly traded company based in Ottawa that flies under the radar a little bit. It's a clean tech firm. It posted 24% revenue growth in 2021 and also recorded more than 5 million in EBITDA. All that translated into a tripling of its share price and a top 50 performance on the TSX Venture. Who am I talking about? Stay tuned to find out more. Hello, I'm Michael Curran from the Ottawa Business Journal. Welcome to Techopia Live. This is a regular podcast from Ottawa Business Journal that features interviews with executives from Ottawa's technology sector. We want to shine the spotlight on up-and-comers and keep you updated on established players, all with a goal of keeping you informed and making you feel a little bit more connected to the very important local technology sector. In today's episode, we will explore an Ottawa-based company that is a full-service environmental consulting and engineering clean tech firm. It works in 60 countries around the world. It's also unique because it's a publicly traded company on the TSX Venture Exchange under the ticker symbol BLM. And it was recently named a top 50 performer on the TSXV in 2021. Let's welcome our guest now. Here's the CEO of BluMetric Environmental. Hello, Scott McFabe.
Hi, Michael. How are you today?
I am great, and thank you for taking time. I know CEOs such as yourself are super busy, Scott, but I'm very excited to have this discussion. We have not met face to face, not because of the pandemic, but we just haven't had an opportunity to chat with each other.
Well, I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Yeah. So let's get our audience up to speed on who you are as a CEO. Give us some of your career highlights, Scott.
Well, I hail from London, Ontario. Went to the University of Waterloo, and I studied basically hydrogeology. And from there, once I graduated, I worked for an environmental engineering firm, consulting firm in around Toronto. That firm, shortly after I joined, actually merged with a global consulting firm that was based in LA. And I got to know the C-suite of that organization really well. And they tapped me on the shoulder to say, we'd like to see you come to the States and operate there. We'll give you some exposure to different things. You can always come back to Canada. And so essentially a 3-year assignment turned into 25 years. We lived in Chicago for all that time, but I've done environmental work from Alaska to Santiago, Chile to Belgium, and had a lot of fun there. And part of that too was learning how to really run businesses. I had the pleasure of working with some really smart people, very capable people in this sector. And so fast forward, we've always had a place north of Toronto. Worked out of our cottage for the summers, but really traveled a lot. So always had our toe back in Canada. So about 4 years ago, the opportunity came up where a former graduate friend of mine tapped me and said, we're looking for a new CEO for BluMetric. We need to take it different directions. Would you be interested in throwing your hat in the ring? And I gave it some thought and did so and haven't looked back since. I'm delighted to have been chosen as a new CEO. So I've been at this about 4 years and looking forward to a great future.
You got to love when those old university relationships come back and benefit you, don't you, Scott?
Well, yeah, it's old friends that you can trust and you appreciate, and it really brings the learning curve up fast. And there's nothing better than doing well together, especially when you're old friends and seeing things improve, which it definitely has. And in the last 4 years, it's gone well for the firm, and I'm grateful for all the help that's got us there.
Yeah, definitely. Very easy to establish trust and maybe a deeper level of commitment on everyone's part. So let's zoom in on BluMetric, Scott. Not a new company. A company that's been around for quite a while, publicly traded. But give us the elevator pitch, so to speak.
Well, the firm comes from two parent companies, and the parent company that I'm most familiar with was Water and Earth Science Associates, WESA. They're based here as a top shelf consulting company, always really highly respected, does great work. And they came to a point about 10 years ago where they were looking for a succession plan. So they did a reverse takeover with a technology firm called Sepratech. And Sepratech was really a company that got its start in the maple sugaring industry in reverse osmosis. And so their RTO happened, and after that, struggled a little bit with the integration and so on. So at the point of bringing me on board, the goal was really to organize the firm, de-risk the firm, excuse me, and get us to a point where we had a nice clean balance sheet and we had the opportunity to grow. And so that was really the commitment, was come in, reorganize, say yes to the right things, no to the right things, get people excited about the firm, have a fully integrated entity, and then drive this thing in places where it really shines. And so, that's really where we are. We've accomplished, I would say, a 5-year plan in 3 years. We've already refreshed our strategy, and we can talk a little bit about that later if you like.
And help us wrap our heads around some of the key facts here. We're going to get into revenues and that type of stuff, but in terms of, for example, number of employees or service lines, product lines, tell me a little bit more about who your customer, maybe employees first, and then who your customers are.
Yeah, ours is a really unique blend of services and technology. There's lots of companies out there that do one or the other. We actually do both, and I'll explain that a little better. The consultancy side of the business really is a combination of engineering scientists, environmental scientists, industrial hygienists. We have a geomatics group as well, that's drones and such. And then our water tech really is, we have a shop just outside of Ottawa and Carp, where we actually design, manufacture water treatment systems, currently mostly for the Canadian Department of National Defence. So if you're in a Royal Canadian Navy boat, the chances are, if you're drinking clean water, it's through a system we built. So it's basically mission-ready water is our technology.
Neat stuff. And I saw that you were, I think, shortlisted might be the right word, by the Canadian Armed Forces on some innovation they're doing. So in CARP, how many employees, Scott?
The total company is a little over 170 people. Our revenues are around $35-36 million, in that range. The services, as mentioned, really line up with what we described. It's the engineering sciences, the environmental sciences, IH, industrial hygiene, and geomatics. And the customer base, it's really 4 markets we look after. It's military, it's commercial industrial, it's mining, and it's government. And so those services translate across. Our military market is almost completely water tech. And that's really by choice. It's a place where we have a high value proposition. The military really appreciates our water tech. We also have a helmets to hard hats program, where we bring in ex-military to be part of our field service representatives team, to go out and make sure once we sell somebody a system, we put it in a boat or it's a land-based system, that we make sure it operates. And if it has an issue, we get on it right away and we're up and running immediately. And that's kind of the beauty of the system. It's not just a produce and sell, design, produce, sell. It's really support also.
That's awesome.
An interesting point for the firm too, and in our employees, we're almost 50-50 split in terms of gender equity, which I think is great, because in a business like ours, it's usually heavily loaded with people that look too much like me. And so we are almost, I think we're 55-45% men to women, which is, I think, part of our success, actually.
And that must create quite a unique culture, I would imagine, different from lots of other engineering and clean tech firms, Scott?
It does. And I think it also adds to, it's a culture, but it's also a gravity in terms of hiring and in terms of how we operate. We're very inclusive. We're very supportive. It's not it's a well-run business, but at the same time, I mean, I don't have an administrative assistant. I answer my own phone. I like to stay involved. I'm very much a player coach and love the business and love clients, and I'll never want to give that up. But I think that's what makes you half decent if you're going to be any good in this business.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, Scott, BluMetric had a fantastic 2021 with record financial results. And as I teased before, a top 50 performance on the TSX V. So we're going to dig into that for a second. But just before we do, I want to pause to recognize one of the sponsors of this episode, the University of Ottawa School of Engineering.
One of the resources that many local tech firms are turning to is the University of Ottawa's Faculty of Engineering, which is one of the supporters of Techopia Live. And there's an opportunity for local companies to solve technical challenges through research partnerships at the University of Ottawa. The faculty's researchers are focused on applying their expertise to tackle real-world problems and are keen to work with businesses to bring these solutions to market. So these collaborations can unlock funding opportunities as well as lead to grants for hiring PhD students. Companies can also access labs, specific equipment, and gain access to world-leading researchers. And you can learn more about the opportunities available to local firms at engineering.uottawa.ca.
And welcome back. We're talking with Scott McFabe, the CEO of BluMetric. Scott, kind of neat that we had an engineering school and engineering company. Probably a few U of O grads on your team, I would presume.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, we're very grateful. We've got some great leadership in the company and some great new hires that we brought in from the school. So we definitely have some people on the bench.
That's excellent. So let's get into these record results. 2021 wrapped up for you guys several weeks ago, and it was a great year. I mean, my God, you're in a pandemic, and you're posting 24% revenue growth and record net earnings in the 3.7. Tell us about what was driving those results, Scott. That's fantastic.
Well, I think number one is if we can't do it safely, we won't do it at all. And so when I first came to the firm, I'll reel it back a bit there. We were talking about a pandemic plan before there was a pandemic, believe it or not. I was very fortunate to have worked under and studied under a very capable CEO in the States. And the petition was, if you can operate in a pandemic, you can operate anytime. And so this is 20 years ago, we had a pandemic plan for this other practice that I was a partner in. And so when I came to BluMetric, we started the discussion about what a pandemic plan would look like. And so we made heavy investments in the first year in our IT infrastructure that was really in need of investment. In other words, we could, in fact, operate remotely if need be, have proper safe servers, have access to files. We leveraged very heavily our industrial hygiene group, which I think is really unique for us, and we're very grateful for that, to have experts, some national, international experts, to be able to design a program, how we can operate safely in the event that we have to shut our offices down, yet still perform essential services. And so that was, I think, a key. The firm is 100% vaccinated. That's been a real challenge and success, I believe. So we've managed to operate, number one, safely and appropriately with the right guidance. We have a lot of empathy with our clients. We want to make sure that we stay close to our clients and they define their needs and we solve their biggest problems and do that safely. And so it really is a great culture here. We've also infused, since I came on board, really ignite our project management systems and our people to make sure that we're operating in a way that is profitable. We're operating and supporting clients that appreciate our value proposition. We're not part of the race to the bottom. We want to make sure that we work with clients that really do value what it is that we provide, and then we deliver on the promise of the value that we offer. And so I would say all of that and the commitment that we have to our clients and they to us, and the people that we have working at BluMetric that are committed to the overall goal of operating profitably and safely, but safely first, I think really has produced this great result. And so it's a success, we say, is a team sport at BluMetric. It's not all me. It's not me hardly at all. In fact, it's everyone making that commitment and keeping our promise.
I don't think I've talked to a CEO who said they had a pandemic plan before the pandemic. So bonus points for that one, Scott. Anyway, there's a natural transition there between record results and your stock performance. Of course, you were recognized. BluMetric was recognized by the TSX V as a top 50 performer in 2021. Your share price appreciated 3 times, 300%. And actually, you were telling me that it's actually a top 10 recognition if you look at the category of cleantech. So something to celebrate there internally, I guess, Scott?
Yeah, it is. We've gone from the pits to the pyramids. Really, it's kind of it's terrific to be recognized for that. I mean, everybody's worked extremely hard for these results, and we intend to continue that effort. And when you independently are recognized for that performance, purely on the basis of your results, it's a great feeling, and it instills the confidence I think that our people need, and the pride that our people have and deserve to have, to operate a well-run company and to see the benefits of that. We have to produce profit. We have to operate in a way that has a clean balance sheet, that we manage our risks, that we de-risk the firm continually, and continue to search for new clients that accept our and appreciate our value proposition. And so making all of those changes in a fairly short period of time, and having that work really does come to bear. There were some pivot services through the pandemic related to COVID services, relative to the supporting the entertainment industry, which is a big industry in Canada, as you know. There's, still have to operate mines. You still have to support the D&D. You still have to work with your clients and help them continue to be successful through whatever event comes our way. And so, with this recognition, I think it's a chance for me to put on record that I couldn't be more grateful or proud of the people that produced this result. And that's really the hallmark of the company, I think, that's where we're at.
Good for you for sharing that success. It's a very smart strategy. And as we wrap up, Scott, help us look forward. So you're into your fiscal 2022. What big milestones is BluMetric pursuing right now?
Well, now that we're essentially out of debt, we have some debt we've refinanced, but at a very, very low rate, because we can see rates are going to increase, and so we'll have that paid off in no time. And we have a really nice cash positive position. Now we need to do something with that and get a return on that foreign investment. So we're evaluating businesses that would be complementary to us and our strategy and our culture. We're looking at technology very seriously, especially with world conditions. Our technology is mission-ready water in a world of uncertainty, we say. And the demand for that right now is ever increasing. And so finding ways to make that scalable and mobile and accessible and scale that up quickly is critical. So to be able to roll in on a boil ban and operate our system in a very short period of time, produce potable water, portable wastewater. We recently were awarded the next stage in the government ideas program, where we're working on mobile wastewater treatment with SNC-Lavalin. And so we have great ambitions to increase all aspects of the business when it makes the most sense. We're not looking to acquire just for the basis of inflating our numbers. We want to make sure that we make good, smart decisions that fit the business and produce a resilient future for us. And so lots of opportunity in both the consulting space and also the technology space. And so I would say look for us to start demonstrating how we've scaled and developed our technologies to be more mobile and at the ready, because most definitely water resiliency is key these days and will be even more so in the future. So that's really where we're focusing our time. And then, of course, continue to look for and working with great clients that appreciate what we do.
That's awesome. Scott, thanks for spending some time with us today and giving us a peek inside of BluMetric and what's coming next. Appreciate it. Thanks, Scott.
My pleasure. Thank you, Michael.
All right. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you very much for joining us. Before we wrap up, we want to take a look at some of the great companies that champion Techopia. Techopia is brought to you by many great sponsors, such as EY, building a better working world. Number Crunch, offering virtual CFO services for SaaS companies. Pearly Robertson Hill and McDougall, a leader in business and technology sector law. TD Bank, specialized programs for technology companies, the University of Ottawa Faculty of Engineering, creating the next generation of technical talent. Calian, innovative solutions delivered with integrity. Techopia is not only a podcast, we post new articles daily at obj.ca/Techopia. If you're on Facebook or Twitter, you can find Techopia at Techopia OTT. And if you're on YouTube, please subscribe and click the bell icon. Big thanks once again to Scott McFabe of BluMetric. We'll be watching them and continuing to report on them. Check that out at obj.ca/Techopia. Thank you for watching or listening today. Hope Techopia is helping you feel connected and informed on the local tech sector. Let's keep building Ottawa's technology utopia. That is Techopia. Bye-bye.